Welcome back to Narrative Mode. I'm Henry with an I, and today we're doing something that feels like a massive pivot. But in reality, it's a homecoming for me. If you've been following this show, you know that we've so far inhabited the world of cinema. We've dissected the spices of Dune, the gothic shadows of Frankenstein, but today we're putting down the remote and picking up the controller, because we're going to talk about the 2018 masterpiece, God of War. Now, I know what some of you are thinking it's a video game. Why are we spending some time or more on a medium where you spend half your time hitting boxes for silver or gold? And to that I say that you haven't been paying attention to the evolution of video games and storytelling. Because what Santa Monica Studio achieved in 2018 wasn't just a technical marvel. It wasn't just about the one-shot camera that never cuts away for 50 hours. It was a reconstruction of a myth. It was a deep psychological interrogation of masculinity, trauma, and the sheer terror of being a father. For the uninitiated, let's go back. Before 2018, God of War was a franchise defined by a very specific kind of adolescent power fantasy. Kratos was the Ghost of Sparta. He was a man-shaped tsunami of rage. He was tricked into murdering his own wife and daughter by Ares, and then he spent 3 games and several spin-offs tearing the Greek world apart to get even. He was a man who didn't just kill gods, he dismantled them. He ripped off Helios' head to use it as a lantern. He used Hermes' boots to run up walls after taking them off his severed legs. He was the definition of a one-dimensional character. He had one gear, which is fury, and he had one volume, which is screaming. And then the creators did the one thing that no one expected. They let him grow up. They let the fire burn out. And then they showed us the ashes. When we meet Kratos in the 2018 game, he is in a different world, Midgard. He's older, he has a beard that carries the weight of 1,000 years. He's quiet, he's stoic, and most importantly, he's a widower. He's standing over the funeral pyre of his second wife, Faye, and he's left with the one thing he's least equipped to handle, a son, Atreus. So this game is often called Dad of War, and while the meme is funny, the reality is much more profound. It's a story about the second act of a life that was supposed to end in blood. It's a story about the lessons we have to learn if we want to stop being the monsters that our past made us. I want to spend today diving into 4 massive fundamental lessons that this game teaches us. These aren't just gamer lessons. These are life-altering philosophies. First, we're going to look at the poison of secrets. We're going to talk about why Kratos' choice to hide his divinity from his own son was his greatest failure as a father, and how those secrets almost killed the very boy he was trying to protect. Second, we're exploring the opportunity to start over. We're asking the hard question, can a man who has done truly evil things ever be good? Or is it just a monster in hiding? And third, we have to talk about the trap of the past. We're going to revisit the scene, the one, the recurrence of the Blades of Chaos, and talk about why the past never truly goes away, but how can we choose to no longer be enslaved by it? Finally, we're going to unpack the most famous piece of dialogue in modern gaming history, 5 words that summarize a whole way of living. Do not be sorry. Be better. So clear your mind, focus, we're going on a journey to the highest peak in all of the realms. The journey begins with a lie. Kratos and Atreus are on a mission to carry Faye's ashes to the highest peak, but they're essentially strangers to one another. Kratos has spent Atreus' entire life being a provider in the most literal distant sense. He hunts, he builds, he stays in the woods, he's a wall of muscle and silence. Atreus, meanwhile, is a child of the mind. He's curious, he reads runes, he's empathetic, and he's grieving a mother who was his entire world. But the biggest obstacle between them isn't the trolls or the Draugr that they fight, it's the secret that Kratos is keeping. Kratos is a god. Atreus is a god, but he doesn't know it. Now, why does Kratos hide this? You ask him, he'd say he's doing it for the boy's protection. He looks at his own history, the patricide, the genocide, the madness of the Greek gods, and he equates godhood with monstrosity. He thinks that if Atreus knows he is divine, the god nature will take over. He thinks that he can protect the boy by pretending they're just men. This brings us to lesson 1. Keeping secrets is harmful, especially secrets of identity. In the game, the secret becomes a literal physical poison. Atreus gets sick. He has these coughing fits that get progressively worse as the game goes on. He grows weak, he passes out, and eventually he slips into a coma that forces Kratos to risk everything to save him. And why is he sick? Mimir, the talking head who becomes Kratos' companion and the voice of wisdom in the game, explains it. He says the boy is fighting a war inside himself. His nature is that of a god. His spirit is divine, but his mind, the narrative that Kratos has given him, believes he is a fragile, mortal human. The spirit and the mind are in total conflict. The boy is tearing himself apart because he doesn't have the context to understand his own power, his own feelings, or his own place in the world. This is such a devastatingly accurate metaphor for the burden of family secrets. We see this in the real world all the time. Think about parents who hide a shameful family history, the parents who hide an adoption, or a criminal past, or struggle with mental health, all under the guise of not burdening the child. But children aren't burdened by the truth, they are burdened by the absence of it. They feel the weight of the lie. They sense the tension in the room. They see shadows where their parents are the shadows that their parents are casting. But because they don't have the name for the shadow, they think the shadow's them. They think that there's something wrong with their own intuition because it doesn't match the story that the parents are telling. By keeping this secret, Kratos wasn't protecting Atreus from the burden of being a god. He was leaving Atreus defenseless against it. When Atreus feels a surge of divine rage or power, he doesn't know what to do with it. He thinks he's broken, he thinks he's failing. The game argues that true protection isn't about hiding the darkness or the complicated truths of our nature. It's about giving the person the tools to navigate them. You cannot prepare a child for the world you refuse to acknowledge exists. Only when Kratos finally breaks, when he looks at his dying son and realizes that his silence is a killing blow. He goes to Freya, the goddess who can save him, and he finally speaks the truth. And when he eventually tells Atreus that he's a god, the sickness goes away. The truth is the cure. It explains as well the things that Atreus has noticed in the past, like his abnormal strength that he thought is just a power that his father had. And sometimes in the game he asks if he's ever going to be muscular as his father. Well, it's part of the godlike powers that he was wondering before the reveal. It's a reminder for all of us that the things we hide to protect others usually end up being the very things that isolate them. Vulnerability and honesty aren't just moral choices, they are survival strategies. Once the truth is out, we have to deal with the second big theme. Everyone has an opportunity to start over. This is the core of Kratos' Norse identity. If the Greek games were a tragedy about a man who lost everything, the Norse game is a drama about a man trying to find something to keep. Kratos is the ultimate test case for the concept of redemption. Can a man who has done truly unforgivably evil things be good? Kratos has killed people for no reason. He has wiped out entire civilizations out of spite. He is the absolute worst version of a sentient being. And yet when we find him in Midgard, he is different. He's trying. The game is very careful with this. It doesn't suggest that Kratos is cured of his past. It doesn't suggest that he's forgotten what he did. In fact, he's haunted by it. But it argues that redemption is not a destination. It's a daily practice. There's a massive difference between running away and starting over. At the start of the game, Kratos is running. He's moved to a new land where no one knows his name. He's living in the woods. He's trying to be a normal man. But starting over doesn't happen when you change your zip code. happens when you change your response to the world. We see this in his discipline. Kratos is a man of incredible, terrifying power, but he spends the entire game trying not to use it. There's the scene where the stranger, who we later learn is the god Baldur, comes to his house. Baldur is arrogant, he's aggressive, punches Kratos in the face multiple times. In the old games, Kratos would have probably ripped Baldur's head in 3 seconds. He would have leveled the entire forest. But in 2018, Kratos just sighs, tells Baldur to leave, tries to de-escalate. He's actively fighting his own nature. He's choosing to be the man he promised to pay he would be, rather than the monster that he knows he can be. This is the opportunity to start over. It doesn't mean your past is gone. It means your past no longer has the remote control. You have reclaimed the agency to choose your next move. I think this is a lesson that is so important in our cancel culture era, or just in our personal lives where we hold on to our mistakes as if they are permanent tattoos. We think, I was a bad partner in my last relationship, so I'm a bad person. Or I failed at the business, so I'm a failure. Kratos is a reminder that you are not your worst day. You're the sum of your current choices. Starting over is a radical act of hope. It's saying the person I was yesterday does not have to be the person who speaks today. But, and there's always a but, with Paul Thomas Anderson, we're going to talk about that movie in the next episode. The one battle after another. But with Kratos, you can't just ignore the past. You have to integrate it. We have to talk about the third lesson. The past never goes away, but you don't have to be trapped by it. We have to talk about the most iconic sequence in the game. It's the moment where Atreus is sick and Kratos realizes he has to go to Helheim, which is the Norse equivalent of Hell. Helheim is a realm of eternal cold. Fire does not work there. His ice axe, the Leviathan, is useless. So he realizes he needs a different kind of fire. He needs the fire of his youth. He needs the blades of chaos. The scene where Kratos returns to his cabin is one of the most emotionally charged moments in gaming. He sits on his bed, looks at the floorboards, reaches down and unwraps those chains. The music swells, those deep, mournful notes, and the ghost of Athena appears. Athena is the personification of his shame. She stands there and she tells him, he's been telling himself that he's still a monster, but he's still the Ghost of Sparta and he can never change. Kratos doesn't argue with her. It doesn't say, I'm different. No, I'm different now. He doesn't try to defend himself like that. He just wraps his chains around his arms. He looks her right in the eye and he says, I know, but I am your monster no longer. That line is a masterclass in psychological integration. I know. That's acceptance. That's Kratos saying, I am the man who killed his family. I'm the man who destroyed Greece. I own that. I'm not going to hide that. But I'm no longer your monster. That is agency. That's him saying those actions happened. That history is mine. But it doesn't own me. I'm going to use these weapons, the symbol of my greatest shame, to do the one good thing that I have left, to save Atreus, my son. This is the difference between being trapped by your past and utilizing your past. When we try to run from our trauma, our mistakes, they become traps. They become these dark corners of our psyche that we are afraid to visit. And because we are afraid of them, they have the power over us. They dictate where we can go and who we can talk to. But when we integrate them, when we look at the monster parts of ourselves and say, I know you're there, but you don't get to drive the car. We take that power back. We can even use the skills we learned in our darkest moments for good. Kratos uses the fury and the lethality of the blades to fight through the underworld for his child. He turns his shadow into a tool. It's a lesson for us all. Your history, no matter how messy or painful, It's your data set, it's your toolkit. But you don't have to be proud of all of it. You have to own all of it. If you don't own your past will eventually own you. And that leads us to the final most famous lesson that I learned from the game. The parenting philosophy that has become a mantra for many people. Do not be sorry. Be better. It happens very early in the game. Kratos and Atreus are hunting deer. It's Atreus' first real hunt alone. He's nervous, he wants his father's approval. Sees the deer, draws his bow, and he shoots too early. He gets flustered, starts rambling, "I'm sorry, father, I'm sorry, I thought I had it." And Kratos tracks him down instantly. He doesn't yell, he just hold him firm. He says, "Don't be sorry, be better." On the surface, this sounds like the ultimate bad dad move. Sounds harsh. Sounds like he's telling the kid to suppress his feelings. It sounds like toxic masculinity 101. But as you play the game, you realize that Kratos is actually teaching Atreus and us a profound lesson about the nature of growth. Saying sorry is often a comfort mechanism. When we make a mistake, we feel guilt, and guilt is uncomfortable. So we say, "I'm sorry," because we want the other person to say, "It's okay." We want the absolution. We want to be told that the mistake doesn't change how they feel about us. We're centering our own emotional discomfort. Kratos is saying the deer doesn't care about your apology. The failure is a fact. It already happened. Wallowing in regret is a waste of energy that could be spent on correction. Be better. Better is a call to action. It's about moving from a passive state, feeling bad, to an active state, improving. If you missed the shot because you were breathing too fast, figure out how to slow your breathing. If you missed the shot because your stance was wrong, fix your stance. It's a shift from fixed mindset to growth mindset. A fixed mindset would say, "I missed the shot, I'm a failure, I'm sorry." A growth mindset says, "I missed the shot, what was the variable I got wrong, and how do I adjust it for next time?" Think about this in your own life when you mess up in a relationship or at work. You spend 3 days in a shame spiral, apologizing to everyone or making them feel like they have to comfort you for your mistake? Or do you look at the failure, apologize once, then demonstrate through your actions that you've learned? Kratos knows that in the world that they live in, a world of gods and monsters, Atreus' survival depends on his ability to self-correct. He doesn't want or need a sorry son. He wants a better son. And the beautiful thing is, Kratos applies this to himself too. He isn't only sorry for killing the Greek gods in the way we usually think. He knows it's a tragedy. But he's being better by being a father who actually cares, a protector who actually protects. He's demonstrating his betterness through every step of the journey. So God of War. It's a game where you hit things with an axe. It's a game where you fight a world serpent. It's a game with incredible graphics and tight gameplay. But it's also a very good story that asks us, who are we when the fire goes out? Who are we when our children look at us and ask us for the truth? Let's recap these lessons one last time. Number 1, the poison of secrets. You can't protect people by lying to them about who they are. Truth is the only thing that allows for help. Number 2, the opportunity to start over. You're not your worst day, and redemption is a daily routine, a daily choice. Number 3, the trap of the past. You cannot erase history, but you can integrate it. You don't have to be a monster just because you have a monstrous past. Number 4, don't be sorry, be better. Move from regret to correction. Growth is action, not a feeling. Kratos' journey ends, spoiler alert, on that mountain peak in Jotunheim, not in Midgard. They scatter face ashes and they find these murals on the walls that show everything that has happened and everything that is going to happen. That game leaves us with a choice. Are we bound by fate? Are we bound by the mural of our past? Or can we be better and change the story? I think we can. And that's demonstrated in the sequel, God of War Ragnarok. That's a topic for another podcast episode. So thank you for joining me in this solo deep dive. It's a bit longer, but some gods deserve the extra time. I'm Henry with an I. Stay curious. Get subscribed.